Let resolution be your solution.
Hi there, everybody. This is Mike Stan with Resolution Radio 2020. Today's topic is shopping experiences. What are your shopping experiences? Do you go to the mall? Do you go there to eat? Do you go there to shop? Do you go there window shopping? No, I don't mean buying windows. What I mean is looking in windows at things that you'd like to buy if you could. Maybe you have a favorite shop that you go into, or maybe your friend runs a shop and you like it. I know this is a little bit like my down your street topic, but at the same time, it's just finding out what your shopping experiences are like. Our first caller is Mickey from Merseyside. Go ahead, Mickey.
Oh yeah, well, it's interesting you should be talking about this topic, right? Because what happened was a few years ago, I was working on a building site. And my mate says to me, he says, would you mind going to the shop and getting us 20 Benson and Edges? I said, yes, no problem at all. He says, oh, hang on a minute. He says, if they don't have any Benson and Edges, get something else. So I said, all right, I'll do that. You know, I was quite young and I hadn't worked on the site for long, you know. Anyway, I had a bit of a thought. So I went to the shop, and anyway, sure enough, they didn't have any Benson and Edges. So I bought him back an ice cream. He wasn't happy.
Oh, my word, you used your initiative and brought back an ice cream. Was you not chilled out about that? Or maybe you got a frosty reception, I'm not sure. Anyway, interesting story, Mickey. Thanks for the call. And our next caller on the subject of shopping and shopping experiences is Jerry. Now, Jerry, before we start, you wouldn't be trying to sneak in one of your jokes, would you?
And now it's Jerry from Auburn. Now I'm sort of I'm half regretting doing that. You know, it becomes sort of it's a thing somebody expects of you. You know what I mean? And it's like I don't want it to be totally me gimmick necessarily.
Well, that's very good. And so you were going to make a point.
Oh yes, that last chap was on about going to the newsagents to buy a packet of cigarettes. It's funny, I've totally lost faith in the newspapers. The only thing that I believe in newspapers is in the contents of a newspaper is me fish and chips. And I take that with a pinch of salt.
You see what I mean? Now then, I'm the one with the fader. And you can take this with a pinch of salt. I've faded you down, but thank you for your contribution. Our next caller is Gareth. Now again, Gareth, we're talking about shopping today. And I wondered what insights you might have about the shopping.
Aye, well, that's what I'm going to talk about. Like, you're still talking about films. Well, I like Western films, like, you know. I'll tell you who I liked. John Wayne, he was big, you know, really big in Westerns back in the day. You know, I thought he was great. You know, you never messed about with John Wayne, Well I Ought and all that, you know.
Actually, we're talking about shopping more than the films right at the moment, the movies.
Aye, another player that I liked to watch was James Garner, like, he was big and all. I didn't like Alan Ladd, like, because he wasn't very big, like, you know. I prefer the big film stars, like, you know, people like that at all, you know, really big. I'll tell you who I really liked as well.
What we're talking about here is shopping, by the way, the main subject. I mean, you could argue that you're talking about buying the DVDs with these great Western heroes of the past in the DVDs.
Aye, that's right. Well, another one I liked was Clint Eastwood, like, you know, he was big, you know, well, more tall than big, you know, not like really kind of like as big like as John Wayne was big, like he was really big. I mean, they actually needed a big horse to get John Wayne on it, you know, because he was a big fella, like, you know.
I'm very interested in your statistical situation here with regards to the stature of these film stars.
Aye, I tell you who would have been good in westerns, because he was about 6'5" or 6. I don't know. I'm doing now which one it would be like was Christopher Reeve, although he wasn't as rugged looking as like Clint Eastwood would be. I'll tell you who was surprisingly bigger than you might think, as well as, you know, Gene Hackman. Like, he's quite a big fella, about 6'1" or 2. You know, quite a big fella. You know, it's quite impressive stature, like a big fella. You know.
What did you think of Alan Ladd?
Oh, I couldn't stand watching his films. Like, they used to dig a trench for his leading ladies to walk alongside him because, like, he wasn't very big. I got the impression that Dorothy Lamour or somebody like that could have thrown him on the back of a horse just, like, over her shoulder, like. That's, yeah, he was good in Shane, like, but he's not as good as some of the really other major film stars, you know, that were much bigger than him, you know. They were more impressive.
Well, that's a very illuminating call, and I think you're. People say size doesn't matter, but obviously the way you think about things, it's a big factor. I suppose one of your favorite westerns would have been The Big Country, Gregory Peck.
I don't know why you're saying that. I'm not sure how tall Gregory Peck was, you know. It might have only been about 5'11" for all I know, although I'll go and check that on the Google, like.
So thank you for your call.
Let resolution be your solution. So, right, I want some help with understanding something that kind of went on. I needed, I had nothing. All I had in the flat was a loaf of bread, right? Well, actually, it was half a loaf of bread. Of course, I was hungry, so went to the supermarket. See if you can make sense of this, right? I went to the supermarket and I thought I'll get something to spread on it, you know, as you do. Anyway, I'm there down the aisle, spreadables aisle, right? And there is peanut butter, and I thought that'll go on there. So I went there, right, and I bought it, took it home, put it on. It was all right, you know. What happened was, a couple of weeks later, I decided, I was bored, right? I thought I'll make a cake. I thought, oh no, I've got most of the ingredients, and for the butter, right, I've got this peanut butter. I'll put it in there. Rubbish. Didn't work. That's the last time I used peanut butter as an ingredient in my cake making. Let resolution be your solution.
And our next caller talking about shopping is Arthur. Arthur, you usually have a positive point to make about most subjects, and it'll be interesting to hear what your viewpoint is about shopping.
Yeah, well, I'm interested in going around the shops with my missus the other day, and our sister and here. I says, we'll go and have a few bits and pieces. And what it was, I was reminiscing about shopping experiences back in the day, and what it was, we used to get the credit card, right? But my at Christmas, we used to get all our Christmas items on the credit card. And what I realised is it take 11 months to save up, you know, to pay off the credit card so that we can have a Christmas card the following year's credit card, know what I mean? So that every year we have Christmas, but it's the Christmas of the year before or the year after. It's got a bit confusing, you know what I mean? Anyway, what I did this particular year, I paid off my credit card. I got a bit of extra work in, I paid off my credit card, got rid of it. And every year now I have my credit card on my own terms, you know what I mean? So with the money I've actually got, rather than committing to spend for my future, you know what I mean?
So you're telling me you don't think credit cards are a great idea from your perspective?
I'll tell you what I think about credit cards. Credit card, what it is, it's a tiny little plastic policeman that sits in your wallet. What it does, it sort of ties you into the current system with regard to the money situation, keeps you poor. And not only that, it stops you having your freedom of choice, because basically what you're doing is paying for stuff you've already had for the foreseeable future. So no, I'm not a great fan of the credit cards. I cut mine up and I got rid of it. And that little tiny policeman ended up getting thrown out, you know what I mean? So I'm no longer a slave to the credit card. So it's each to their own anyway. You do what you think's best, Mike, but you know, half of the things you end up owned by the flipping bank, you know what I mean? I'd rather it was owned by myself, or I'll do that and save up for it a bit longer. Anyway, keep smiling.
Well, that's an interesting perspective, a tiny plastic policeman that sits in your wallet. I've never quite seen it that way. Anyway, our next caller is George. Over to you, George. What do you have to say?
Yes, well, I was just listening to the last fellow. Oh, what an utter load of nonsense. Credit cards free people up. They give you spending power. They actually they make you independent in a sense. My company, the first bit of money that I made, it was actually running catalogs. So we'd have a warehouse full of cheap tat, and what we would do, we would get people paying for them week in, week out on the weekly installments, you know what I mean? And they could have it there in the there and now and enjoy it, you know, big pieces of furniture. And with the profit margin, I could expand my business and employ people, and everybody's a winner, you know.
Everybody's a winner, George. It's a great way to run a business there. You're contributing to the welfare of all your customers.
Well, yes, as it happens, yes. But the main thing, of course, is that that's how I managed to buy Grantham Manor, which is where I currently live. It's rather done well for me. But yes, each man's entitled to his own opinion, no matter how foolish and nonsensical it might be, I suppose.
Well, let's not have any squabbling between our callers, but you in turn are entitled to your opinion as well. So you see a credit card as a great liberator, and it certainly liberated you from a smaller house than you had before. So thank you for your call. And our next caller is William. Go ahead, William.
You're talking about shopping, and I went into the local pet shop. You know, I've got a cat. I don't know whether I told you that before.
Oh, you own a cat?
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I think the cat owns me, more likely. Since I seem to do all the running about, my cat seems to do all the sunbathing in front of the gas fire.
Yes, they do seem to live a life of luxury, those cats, don't they?
Aye, but that's not the main reason I've rung in. The reason I've rung in is this. I went to the pet store and I says to the man behind the counter, I said, I have all these flavours of cat food, liver and all that, and tuna and etc. I says, why have you got no mouse-flavoured cat food? Anyway, he seemed a bit shocked to me. He says, are you taking the mickey? I said, well, I would if you had the mouse-flavoured cat food.
Now listen here, you're getting a bit like Jerry the Joker here, and I've referred to Jerry as Jerry the Joker. I perhaps shouldn't. It might encourage him.
No, I'm serious. I mean, cats are very interested in mice, you know, and to chase them, etc. I wonder sometimes it's more about the hunt than the cat, from a cat's point of view, to keep its skills in order. Maybe it's practicing for something bigger, I don't know.
Well, that's a deep and interesting question. I'll store that one up for future reference. Thank you for your call, William. If you like this channel, like and subscribe our page. Share it with your friends. If you understand the underlying message here, which is about entertainment and fun,
Keep smiling!
then continue to stay with us. I look forward to interacting with you in the future.